Thank you. Thank you for your introduction. And you are correct, I am not an engineer, but throughout my professional career, I've always worked with a whole range of engineers, software, electronic, mechanical, when I've worked in industry. So I really feel like I'm part of the profession in a way. So the question, in the UK we have almost 250,000 engineers who are registered through UK Spec. And I think the reason why we have so many is because we've been doing that kind of work for many years. So UK Spec is around 20 years old, but previously we had a lot of a tradition of engineering education. And so I guess we've been doing it a long time, I think is the answer. So we don't have any special secrets, but we're always happy to share what we know and to learn from our friends. Okay? So, okay, it's on the wall. Good. So, how do I move?
Okay.
Should be.
Control.
Maybe it's not switched on, is it?
It's the bottom one.
Oh, it's bottom. No. Is there a special direction to? What did you do?
Probably they did it there.
Okay, it needs an engineer to do. So I'll just speak for about 5-7 minutes. And what I wanted to do is just talk a little bit about some of the things we've been doing in the UK and some of the things we've been working on with our friends in Enginet. And talk about engineering competence. But first, I want to just give you a brief introduction about the Engineering Council. We are the regulator in the UK for the engineering profession. And our role is to hold the register of chartered engineers, incorporated engineers, and engineering technicians. And we have, as I said, we have about 222,000 registrants worldwide, and approximately 20% are from outside of the UK. That means they live and work somewhere else. It could be in Europe or it could be rest of the world. If you want to be a registered engineer in the UK, you have to join. I'm sorry. Can I go backwards? I can't go backwards. Can we go back? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You have to join what we call a professional engineering institution. And this is similar to your colleges and your specialist houses or what's the word? Institutes of engineers. So in the UK, we have 39 different specialisms, but 80% of our registrants are in just 3. So the civil engineers, the mechanical engineers, and the electrical engineers, which is the IET. But we have many smaller institutions, and we value their expertise very much. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, good. So we're very active internationally, and you might have heard of the International Engineering Alliance, the IEA. We are members of all of the IEA accords, the Washington, Sydney and Dublin Accords, and the competence agreements. So there are 3 different agreements, and we're members. And what we do is we share knowledge, and we put our standards against each other, against a common benchmark. And it's similar to the work that we're doing in Enginet. We compare our systems, because obviously we all know that engineering is a profession where people move around. So if you have engineers come from anywhere, USA, Australia, anywhere in Europe, you need to kind of have a sense of what they know, what they can do professionally, and what is their competence. And some of these agreements can help. We're in FIANI. I guess most people here will know FIANI, and NAE, which is about accreditation of engineering degree programs. And of course, we're very proud to be members of ENGINET. And we have some bilateral agreements with other associations, for example, the ORDEM in Portugal. And, oh, it moved. Okay, well, I can just speak. Ireland and New Zealand, for example. And we're just working to finalize an agreement with AIPE and AQPE. So we hope this year we'll be able to have those agreements signed. Now, I'm sure you'll be familiar with this. UK Spec is it stands for the UK Specification for Professional Engineering Competence, UK Spec. And it's got 5 different areas of competence. And next slide, I hope. Okay, I don't know. Yeah. And one of the things we sometimes like to think about is what do we mean when we say competence? Does competence mean you have an engineering degree? Not really. It means that you've got something more. You've got the ability to, and a proven track record to apply your engineering skills to achieve something that you want to achieve. And it could be that you're using your engineering knowledge, you're using innovation, research, managing projects, managing people, managing finances, thinking about your responsibility to society as an engineer. And all of that is inside UK Spec. And when we talk about competence, certainly in the UK, we always say competence and commitment. So what do we mean by commitment? We mean that, let's say, on the day that you become a chartered engineer, that's not the end of the story, it's the beginning. So you will commit to maintain competence and extend your knowledge, in whatever way you need to do. And that's part of the code that you sign up to. And I'm sure that's very familiar to you. So you need to do CPD, you need to understand safety legislation, the law. And in the UK, one of the really big things, and I'm sure it's the same here, is ethics. So how should an engineer behave ethically? What are the challenges that you might have working ethically and understanding what situations you may be in as a professional? And again, that's all kind of wrapped up inside UK Spec. Sorry, this is quite small, but one of the exercises we do sometimes is we compare engineering to the other professions to see what they do. And we have the medical council in the UK, the Law Society, and actually we have 5 competencies. The Medical Council has 9, the Law Society has 4, but actually it's all the same. It's about knowledge, technical knowledge, it's about responsibility, it's about personal conduct, management, these kind of things. So it's all a similar kind of competence. And just 2 more things to say. One of the things we work on in the UK is we try to do what is called open access to the profession. So, for example, if you don't have a civil engineering degree, but you have maybe come to the profession of civil engineer in a different way. I mean, sometimes you have geologists or geochemists. If you can demonstrate that you meet the standard, you can be a chartered engineer. There's also another dimension. In the UK, we need more, and I think everywhere in engineering, we need more women in the profession. So we need to think about what barriers there are to, to women becoming chartered engineers, and try to remove those barriers, try to help to do that. The same for, maybe people that have different challenges. Maybe that it could be a linguistic challenge or maybe a physical disability. So we've been doing a lot of work to try to open the profession, because we need more engineers. In the UK, we don't have enough. I don't know about Spain. Do you have enough engineers? No, we don't have enough in the UK. And I'll move over this one. So finally, just can we go to the next one? One more slide. Yeah. One of the things that that Juan asked me to do was to think about where competence is used in the world, because not everybody understands engineering competence like we do. In some countries, there's no real kind of registration or certification or any kind of mark of competence. So what I did was try to have a look at where in the world there is at least some sort of engineering competence framework. So probably the oldest one is the IEA International Professional Engineers Agreement, 1997. And there's a lot of big countries in there. So, the USA, Japan, Korea. But they're all doing different things. It's not one big agreement. They're all doing their own version. But at least they have some idea of engineering competence. Then there is the APEC Engineers Agreement, which is similar. And of course, in Europe, we've had this thing called Euringe, the FIANI Euringe. But it's not really, it's a title, but it's not really a certification scheme like we would understand. But at least there is a competence framework. And there's around 10 active countries within that who use Euringe. But over the last couple of years, I put 2021 because I think that's when we signed the Enginet statutes for the first time. But I know that Enginet started work, I think there was a meeting in Barcelona in 2017 and maybe even before. But I think what is happening in Enginet is really important. And we had a great meeting today where we discussed how everybody is approaching the issue of engineering competence. And I think the really important principle of Enginet is that we don't have to do the same thing. We can do our own thing that is required in the UK, Spain, France, etc. We don't have to do the same thing, but we have a common core of kind of principles that we use. So Enginet is really important to us in the UK. I mean, obviously, every link that we have to Europe is important since Brexit, which is a disaster. And I hope in my lifetime we will come back into the EU. We'll see. And just finally, we are working with some countries outside of Europe and outside of the big engineering alliances. And there is a lot of interest in the Gulf and in Africa to develop competence, because they have big engineering projects and they have to bring engineers from all over the world, but they don't really have a handle on what it is they're looking for. So there's a lot of work to do. But it's a big subject, and I'm